What's going on, guys? Welcome back to The Commodity. I'm Fez, and today we are taking a look at SA students react to mobile phone ban, BTN High. So we're going to see what's going on. Mobile phone ban, to be fair, before phones were big, I had a pager, and they had a ban for those. And then when phones came out, we never really had a ban. Of course, I had flip phones, and then it wasn't until after I was already working in the auto industry before smartphones came out in 2000. Well, they were out technically before that. But the iPhone was my first that was my first actual smartphone. At the time, I was actually looking to buy a Windows phone that was kind of long and you slid up. And then my dad was like, no, you aren't. Because my dad's always been vested in Apple. Our first computer in the house was the first Macintosh. My dad was still working on his dissertation for his PhD. And back then, this was like 84, maybe 83. And which I was born in 83. So I literally grew up with a Mac in my house. It's funny because I have a PC now. I've only personally owned one Mac. Back then, you either hired somebody to dictate your paper from paper to computer, and then they would edit it and then they would print it, or you're like my dad, which wound up being editor right after his PhD program. So he was like, it cost about the same, so he bought himself, I think the thing was like $8,000 for that computer, plus a dot matrix printer, and then he wrote it, edited it, and had somebody bind it for him. But yeah, so big Apple fan. Weird tangent, but my dad was basically what I was saying in a long story is my dad was like, no, you're not going to get a Windows phone. You're going to get which in hindsight, the man is brilliant because there's no such thing as a Windows phone anymore. So my first smartphone was an iPhone 1 with a metal back, and it was on Edge with AT&T only, and it was slow. You couldn't download any apps, and it sucked. So everybody now, it's way different now. It's so crazy. So let's go ahead and jump into this. If you enjoy these videos, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell notification. I'm trying to get 100,000 before the end of the year. We're only like 10,000 subscribers away. So if you don't mind helping, thank you so much. Let's get into this.
School's back, but phones aren't. At least that's the case in more than 40 public high schools across South Australia this term, including this one behind me. It's all part of a new policy by the state government to start putting a full ban on phones during school hours.
It is my firm view that mobile phones do not have a place in the classroom or in schools.
You might know this isn't a totally new concept.
In 2020, Victoria became the first state to bring in a full phone ban at all public primary and high schools.
I know that it won't be universally popular, but in my view, it's the right thing to do.
And phones are already banned in most primary schools around Australia.
The idea is to stop students getting distracted by TikTok or texting and to stop online bullying and harassment, at least during school hours. So how do you get everyone to put these down all day, every school day?
Well, there are a few options, like making students turn their phones off or put them on silent and in lockers or bags. Or there are these.
Okay, Josh, so what is this?
So this is the new phone policy we have at our school. It's a phone pouch. So every morning we have to put our phones in here. So you open this, and may I take your phone, please?
Yeah, will I get it back?
Yes, we'll get it back at the end of the day.
At the end of the day? Okay.
And your phone slips in like that. You press down and it's now locked until the end of the day where you go.
Is he a teacher or a student? He looks young, but he's got like a pretty decent bit of facial hair.
Go back to the station where this lock is kept inside a box, which is also locked, which prevents kids during recess and lunch to go and open up their phones and use it whilst they're not supposed to. And now you have your phone.
I got it back early. So are teachers going around and checking this throughout the day?
We have daily checks where teachers come in to check and feel in the pouches to see if your phones are in there and to see if it's locked or not.
This high school is one of a handful that chose to pay tens of thousands of dollars for these little lockable phone bags for every student. Starting school again this term was the first time any of these students had used them.
Have you seen anyone try to get these open? Probably
Yes.
pretty, yes?
Many people have tried, but I haven't seen anyone succeed to open these just yet.
So it works.
Give it time.
Yes.
No, I've seen many people irritated with. I think I'm like the only one who isn't irritated by it.
A lot of people are quite frustrated that it's obvious they can't trust us with our phones.
We're so reliant upon our devices, it's going to be hard to adjust. But give it some time and hopefully that'll be a good detox.
It's not just phones either.
In some schools, the rules also apply to any personal devices that connect to the internet or phone networks, like smartwatches and tablets, even earbuds.
But not devices provided by a school or approved for schoolwork. Of course, like most policies, there are exceptions.
Like for students that need their devices for medical reasons, as support for disabilities or learning difficulties, or to translate English if it isn't their first language. Although some students reckon there should be other exceptions.
One part that I would like to see change maybe is the earbuds. I find that when I study best with music.
Our parents don't really know English really well, and they use the phones to communicate with us.
Like what if there's an emergency or something and you need to call home and you can't, and like it's a private matter and you don't want to go and talk to the school about it?
Education
really
is the
good point.
responsibility of each state.
So I feel, I know I'm cutting it in half and they'll have a different opinion and all that kind of stuff. I just need to do this so maybe they don't come after me for copyrights and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like they could do some type of geofencing instead, because there is actually studies that prove that studying or doing homework with actual noise in the background, like sitting at home doing homework, like I would go to Starbucks and buy like a hot chocolate. I don't drink coffee. I don't care for Starbucks. I don't care for any coffee unless it's made out of chocolate cocoa beans. You know what I mean? But I would find myself at a Starbucks with a hot chocolate, no matter what the temperature is. Like today, it was so hot. Humidity's at like 1,000. But like I like to study with noise in the background because studies prove that you actually study better when there's background noise, whether it's a TV on, whether it's music, or whether you're just in a setting where there's noise around you. So I think that student that brought that up makes really good points. But there's other ways to go about it. You could do a geofence type of app. I mean, if you're spending tens of thousands of dollars, you could require an app that once you go past the school's areas, your phone will automatically be set to like what you're allowed to access while you're in school. So text message might be turned off, but emergency phone calls could be on. Because who's to say, because like in my high school, they basically, now again, I was in high school, I graduated high school in 2002, and cell phones were a thing, but they weren't as big of a thing as they are now, obviously, by like a lot. So I could see where they could geofence it, and it automatically opens an app that prevents you to do certain things on your phone, but allows you to do certain things as well. That's just my thought. Because if you're spending that much money on all the equipment and everything for that, you could easily get buy a contract with a software that's already been, or an application that's already been engineered or programmed to do such things. I don't know. It's just, however, the other girl makes a lot of points about detoxing from this thing, because what's crazy is in real life, for me anyways, this is everything. I have to have this for work. For me to clock in, I have to have this. For me to communicate with customers, I have to have this. For me to know that I've got a lead, I've got to have this. So it's kind of funny because a lot of times they're trying to teach you how it's going to be like in the real life. However, for a lot of jobs, I know you don't use a phone, but it seems like more jobs you need this than you don't. So they need to set it up like what you're kind of expecting to get into in your business. You know what I mean? I mean, let me know what your thoughts are. These are just thoughts coming through my brain because I'm like, if I didn't have this, I'd probably lose my job. That's how important this is. So.
And territory, which means they can have different rules and regulations. In South Australia, like most other states and territories, it's been up to individual schools to decide how to manage phone use, and that's still the case for non-government schools. Most have policies or recommend high schoolers turn their phones off and put them away, at least during class. But that can be hard for teachers to monitor.
So Amani, what's your school's phone policy at the moment?
Yeah, so at the moment we have to put our phones in our lockers at the start of the day and get them out at the end of the day, but we can check them at recess and lunch.
But by the end of term 2, all public high schools in SA will have to do the full phone ban.
That will definitely, I think, be a huge change for all students. We've become dependent on our phones. That will be a bit of a detox for us.
I guess that brings us back to the reasons.
But adults need a detox too. That's what's kind of ironic about this statement is, yes, I think it's really good, especially when your brains are still being developed. So I get that. But at the same time, I feel like I would freak out without this, even if I didn't need it for work, because I'm afraid I'm going to miss a phone call or I'm going to miss a text, even though I never get them. I'm the only one that ever sends them to the people that I love. So just, I mean, everybody's making great points, but at the same time, I also get why you need them and I get why they don't want you to have them and all that kind of stuff. So it's a hard argument. It's definitely not just one answer is the right answer. This is a very vast situation. Everybody's situation may vary, so.
In the past few years, there have been times when violent fights during or after school have been filmed on phones and put on people's social media. There have also been plenty of reports of bullying and harassment online, including students taking photos of other students at school and sharing them without their permission.
Personally, I've actually been cyberbullied at school. Photos have been taken of me and posted, around Snapchat and social media platforms.
When people go home, they can still do the same thing, so it's not really going to change much.
It does do something to reduce the bullying, and it does do something to reduce the perpetuation of hate. But I believe it doesn't target the root problem.
Everybody's just resorting to traditional bullying. That's what they're going to do. If they really wanted to bully, they're going to do it to someone's face.
For the people who get bullied at school and then also have it at home, it's there's no escape. So I feel like it'll be really good to be able to have the no phone policy so that those things at least can't happen from school.
And then there's still that whole distraction thing. Oh, sorry. Can I get this? One sec. Hi, Mum. Yeah? No, it's all good. I was filming. It's fine.
I feel more motivated to do my work now because last year I did get a bit distracted with using my phone in class.
Personally, I think this is a really good idea to roll out across high schools. There's already been so much more socialisation between myself and my friends.
The biggest win for students is that we get an 8-hour period where we're all off our phones and we have these real face-to-face conversations.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't even know what it's like to have. Well, I mean, I went to college with a cell phone because I graduated in 2019. So I had a cell phone my entire college career because I went way late, well after high school or university, whatever you want to call it. I went to University of North Texas. It's a very big, it's one of the best film schools in the country right after UCLA. Is it UC? I think it's UCLA is the big one. And then UT is really big. They even have Matthew McConaughey teaching classes. And that's basically why UCLA is so big, is because they have actual actors teaching classes. But off topic, back to topic. So, I mean, you know what? In hindsight, it's probably actually good, all in all. And I think they should be allowed to have a little bit of leeway. If they can't even have it during lunchtime, or during study time, because like a study period, if that's a thing over there. Dang, that went down the wrong tube. So I don't know. I mean, it is a hard thing. I hope they actually had like an opinion from like to vote on something like this. I feel like there needs to be like 30 or 40 people to truly get like a real census of what people think. And I mean, I'm not talking about me and Joe Blow down the road. I'm talking about like people that are experts with technology, people that are experts with anxiety, people that are experts with all these different areas, and have a collective conversation. Because a bunch of, politicians, no offense, are not really the best go-to for this kind of stuff. I mean, you can see it here in the U.S. You can see it all over the world. They don't know how to ask questions to true tech. They don't know how to, realistically, I don't want to go to some random person to deal with anxiety. I deal with anxiety severely, and I want to be able to call my mom, if I'm being perfectly honest. And I call my mom every time I have an anxiety attack. She picks up just like that for me. So I get it for those students that are like, if they have something they want to talk to and they don't feel like they're comfortable with talking to somebody else, because it took me a long time for me to accept what I have. I fought it forever. But then when I accepted it and I started communicating with my parents and my loved ones, like my ex-wife, I still talk to her about it. And sometimes I'll call her because I just need to talk to somebody to get out of my own head. So that's kind of like one of those reasons why I would like to have a phone, because sometimes you just can't handle it. And my anxiety, I'll be in the middle of watching the funniest movie ever, and then my anxiety kicks in. And I left the movie theater once, and they actually called 911 for me, and I felt terrible because I was like, by the time the ambulance got there, no charge, by the way, they just sat down with me and talked to me, and they were like, look, we're here for you, which felt really good, but I would have rather have talked to somebody that I love and know to get me out of my own head. So, and not having my phone accessible if I was in school, I would have an issue, because I think more schools are also being aware, hopefully most schools, of people dealing with depression, dealing with anxiety, dealing with mental health issues. And sometimes you don't want to talk to a stranger or even your school counselor or whatever, and you want to talk to somebody that you love and trust wholeheartedly. Or if you're dealing with things that men don't know how to deal with, you don't always want to go to the school nurse or go to the principal or any type of counselor. You want to talk to the person that knows you the best, and that's a lot of times your parents, or possibly a grandparent, or possibly an aunt, an uncle, a sister, a brother, and sometimes you need that phone. So I think they need to have it at least available for a certain amount of time in the day, just so you can do that. I love calling my mom at least once a week, even if I don't have anxiety, to possibly prevent the anxiety for the future and at the moment and stuff like that. So I'm just rambling. I'm sorry. Guys, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I just don't know where to put my opinion. Oh, and this video was brought to us by Lithau. Sorry, I forgot to shout you out. But guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm so sorry for babbling on, because I'm thinking about this, and I think it's way deeper than just here's your phone. They need to have a way they can shut off all the apps, have text message, have the ability to make a phone call, maybe not allow incoming calls, but be able to do outgoing calls. Or, emergencies. What if your parent has an accident or something like that, and they're trying to get a hold of you? Just thoughts, just food for thoughts. Let me know what your opinion is down in the comments. There's just so many things that I'm thinking of that could cause it a reason to, change that. But let me know down in the comments, and until next time, bye.